I think it gives them the opportunity to be able to start engaging the customer and start conditioning different offers, so they can start to see what can we build that would actually fit that pricing model that people would salute, and that gives us an entry point into acquiring new accounts or taking and making our existing account base think that we're more valuable and want to retain us.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello and welcome to Analysts Gone Wild. We're back. I think it's been a couple weeks. We're on episode 35. I'm Robert Kramer with more insights and strategy. Let's go around the horn here and talk to the group here. But it's good to be back, Sam, and I'm excited to. We got a pretty intense stories today. So I cover ERP, supply chain management, and data. So I want to kind of go around and let's talk to the group and see what they cover and how they're doing. Let's start with Thomas at the bottom. What's going on, Thomas?
Yeah, well, life is good. And else, to quote you, I'll cover CRM, CX, and AI. And of course, I'm working on lots of other stuff.
Okay. Ken, how we doing today?
I'm doing well. Good day, everybody. Ken Gonzalez, pretty simple group. I cover infrastructure and operations, CIO topics, and obviously AI.
I haven't heard about that, but yes, we'll cover it.
Nobody has heard about that, right?
No. So that thing that's off in the distance, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, Sam, how we doing today? I haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks down, I guess we missed a lot of stories. Hopefully, we are going to get much more spicier stories now. We have that in line. So Sam Gupta, Elevate IQ, as well as host of WBS Rocks. We are the buy-side advisory firm. From the ERP perspective, ERP is our core focus. But we touch a lot of other things from the enterprise software perspective as well.
Great. So let's go to the first story, if that sounds good. So BillingPlatform unveils RevenueIQ. So who's BillingPlatform? They operate in the space of enterprise revenue operations. They help companies manage their billing and their subscriptions, invoices, and revenue. So they unveil this RevenueIQ AI suite, I guess. It's designed for advanced analytics, automation, conversational AI, predictive modeling, which is kind of a big deal into finance and workflows. The thought is this a gain for them? I would say probably yes. And, is this hype or is it real? I'd say probably a little of both. But it's definitely helping them with their position against their competitors. But why don't we kind of go around the horn before I talk too much about it? Ken or Thomas, what do you guys think?
Well, revenue lifecycle management is a thing these days, and it has become a real thing yesterday when the B2B part of Pros got merged or was announced to get merged into Conga, which makes BillingPlatform appear small, actually, as a move.
Okay. What do you think, Ken?
I love Thomas telegraphing punches. That's great stuff. We're obviously going to hear more about this. So the thing that really stands out to me about this story is that we're continuing to see more companies that are either acquiring or building more capability to extend down whatever their supply chain is. And I really appreciate the fact that what was previously described as different actual functional areas like data and analytics, AI, all of this is now kind of getting lumped and really messy together, where you can't really say, oh, I can use AI but not be paying attention to data and analytics. You need to, and it's part of the core skill set that people need to develop. And I think that as people start looking at these kinds of solutions from combined offers, there's going to be additional demand required for the professionals that are using them to make sure they're actually getting the right level of value from the tools themselves, and actually becoming better operators and owners of this kind of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the good thing about BillingPlatform is that they are talking about specific and working with specific models, not this all the rage generic LLMs that will have a bunch of limitations in a lot of very important business scenarios, not the least of it being quite unpredictable. So what is interesting here, after my little punch into their face, is that they are getting into the right user interface, so making it conversational. This will be the future. And still they'll face an uphill battle.
Right.
Also from a price optimization point of view. So that's a core part of revenue lifecycle management, is not only getting it, but optimizing it, which probably in terms of most vendors translates to maximizing it. And this is where they will need to speed up a little.
Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so very interesting. And I mean, in this particular case, I guess, Thomas, I would need a lot more help from your side, because I'm always looking for the natural home of any vendor or the solution. And I don't know how, where their natural home is. That is number one. And how big that natural home is going to be. I know that you contrasted this with pros, and that is probably going to be the right comparison, because this would fall under more of the, they have already described that revenue lifecycle management.
Contrasted it with the combination of pros and conga.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know how big these guys are. Are they more into Salesforce ecosystem, or what is their positioning in the market? How big they are? Can you talk a little bit about that, if you know them?
Well, they are both fairly big. Conga originated, or Conga is, as it is right now, a merger as well of a CPQ platform and a contract lifecycle management platform that got merged together. They had a Salesforce origin, but moved out of that after Salesforce decided, well, to swallow somebody else. Yeah. So they had a gap for their lifecycle or revenue lifecycle management capabilities in price optimization, and this is where pros comes in, because this is where they are big with a capital B in B2B areas as well as in B2C areas. But here with Conga, we are talking about B2B only. So this might be for BillingPlatform, which I don't know that well, a foothold, because if they are not only in B2B, then there's a differentiator for them.
Yeah, so very interesting comments there. And overall, I guess one comment that you made related to merge of this whole contract life cycle management capability. In my mind, when I look at contract life cycle management workflows, they seem to align a lot more with procurement and supply chain, depending upon how the business is. In 90% of the cases, you are going to have a lot more contracts, operationally, from the vendor side of things. So that's where I'm not too sure about aligning these two capabilities. And if they align, it's probably going to be half baked. It's not going to be the centralized view, of the contracts. Some of these vendors are taking that approach, which is great. But again, I think it's going to be slightly half baked, because the question always is going to remain, okay, where does legal belong? Is it going to be part of sales, or is it going to be part of procurement? They don't have a place.
Or part of core ERP.
Yeah.
Well, ask 3 vendors and you get 4 opinions of this.
I know. I mean, that's because everybody's trying to drag the architecture in that direction, as well as obviously the business model as well and business processes. So overall, on the story, now that we have some insight from Thomas, and obviously he's far deeper into the CX and CRM side of things. One thing that I like about the story is everybody's sort of developing the tailored AI models, tailored AI capabilities, and that's what these guys are doing as well, which is probably going to be the direction. And I don't know whether you guys followed the story from Shopify, as well as OpenAI. I think OpenAI is going to provide all of the Shopify inventory, etc., in OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, obviously here, seems like the whole fulfillment process is going to happen right within ChatGPT. So I don't know how many people are going to go to the website. It's very interesting. Initially, we were thinking that, it's going to be just serve the purpose of information serving, but now we are talking about the real fulfillment and checkout happening within chat. So, which is a very interesting business model. I think every single business model is going to be impacted because of this direction. So a lot more of AI tailored models and tailored AI models, however you want to put it, we are going to see a lot more. So I'm excited about the story.
Yeah.
Robert, if you're speaking, we are not hearing you. Sorry.
I went on mute for a second. I'm back. Sorry about that.
No,
Can you hear me okay? All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of AI there. So we want to go to the next story, talk a little bit about IFS.
Yeah, let's do that.
So IFS, a pretty significant ERP vendor, right? And they're acquiring 7 bridges. So more from supply chain AI perspective. And this acquisition, I really like it because it kind of gets them more into the logistics, industrial AI area. It's one of those things that, what was it, a couple of months ago that was done in August? Do you believe, Sam? They're dabbling more into this space, and I think it's a win for them. It's not. This is not. We always talk about hyper. Is this hype or is it a real thing? I think they're building their package out a little bit more significantly into this area. So when we talk about it a little bit more, what do we think? Does this help them in the manufacturing space? Does it help them in the supply chain space? What are your thoughts on this one, Thomas or Ken?
I think I'll defer to Ken on this one. Or you guys.
The thing I think about IFS is that I think they're an interesting company. And I think they're a company to watch because if you look at the fact that they are doing a fair amount of acquisition, but it isn't just like, oh, I'm going to pick all my adjacencies and then take, companies off the table one at a time. They've actually got their hooks in a number of different aspects of the market. So I think that long term, IFS is going to end up being an emerging power player. Just because of the range of capabilities that they are going to have available to them. Because if you look at the fact that they are taking on loops, they've already been active in the IT service management, enterprise service management space. All of this, I think, starts building a story around providing more complete solutions rather than taking a strictly vertical focus.
Yeah. I mean, I know IFS from their origins in field management or field service management, actually. And, well, they have gone a long way from there, I need to say, including their not so successful venture into CRM or core CRM. I think from the supply chain is looking at it from a CRM point of view. With a bleeding heart, I need to say you can't do without supply chain. Yeah, and this is for many a business probably even more important than the demand side, the CRM side of it. So from an IFS perspective, whatever strengthens that part of their portfolio is a good thing for them, and then probably also for their customers.
Yeah, it also gives talent pool, for IFS. This is a 7 bridges, I'm sure is, not that large of a company. Sam, you have to tell us, but they get all their employees. They get the ability to cross sell this to their existing customers. I think it's a win from that perspective. Gives them more capabilities from the AI area. Like you said, Thomas, this is, supply chain is a major component for some of these companies, and I think this adds some significant value. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so IFS, I would say, has had a very interesting story overall. Okay, and they are, I think, still trying to find their place, who they really are. That's their biggest challenge. And Thomas is right, to be completely honest. I mean, they were very strong from the field service perspective. Even today, they are probably one of the strongest. From the enterprise capabilities perspective, and I want to be absolutely sure and careful there. We are drawing distinction between the enterprise capabilities versus the mid-market capabilities. They had one of the strongest field service offering, as well as enterprise asset management, which is a category in itself. So these guys are very, very, very strong. Obviously, they had ERP as well. And now Thomas had mentioned their sort of venture in the CRM space. And there's a little crossover or the overlap, I would say, between CRM and the field service solutions, especially if you look at the likes of Service Titans, which are doing very, very well right now. There are many other ones. Thomas, sorry, if you have a comment, you can go on.
No, I just needed to get rid of the frog in my throat.
That is always necessary, right? You want to make sure you're comfortable. Okay, so coming back to this story. So, Robert, IFS has done a lot of different acquisitions, and some of them were in the traditional AI space. I call this as more of traditional. I don't think, a lot of these are sort of the agentic capabilities, the kind of acquisitions that other ERP vendors are doing. These guys are going very deep into the manufacturing, a lot of different asset management centric use cases, which is aligned with their core capabilities. That's their core, the kind of industries that they target. But we have seen some trends related to merging this with sort of the supply chain management centric solutions as well. I would say IFS's core vertical were not very supply chain heavy. They would be slightly similar to what Ken was mentioning, which is going to be enterprise service centric capabilities. So now these guys are getting into those spaces, which means that they are going to be similar to either QAD or Dalmia Works is probably another vendor, right? Sage has done a little bit of acquisitions, but I don't know what they are doing these days, to be completely honest. They are all over the place. But from the acquisition perspective, I like this acquisition a lot. They are doing a lot more from the artificial intelligence perspective. And this, in my mind, would be very closely aligned to where they are right now.
Yeah, I think it gives them a more complete stack. I think it also gives, like Thomas was talking about the supply chain. I think that is just a gigantic thing. You have the what if scenarios, the predictions. Then it kind of goes and it models to what we talked about, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago about the event-driven ERP, kind of going in that direction. I think at the end of the day, you want as much inclusive of your existing package that you can get to without going outside of it, in my opinion. So this gives them more capabilities. I'm not saying it solves like 1,000 problems, but it helps the enterprise to have more capabilities.
Yeah. It's that, especially if it helps them changing a supply chain into a supply network.
Yeah, that's a different subject. That's two different things. So one is that supplier. That's a great point, because the network is probably just as important as your supply chain. So who you're going to use and why you're going to use them. I think it's a gigantic. Is that what you meant?
For each individual transaction, it becomes a chain. Before that, it's a network, or it needs to be a network.
Yeah.
In order to avoid, Evergreen blocking the Suez Canal again.
Well, you can have certain conditions who you want to use in your network, and that needs to be addressed, and how and why. And I think sustainability will be a major factor. Credit's a big deal. Reliability. You're going to have what happens when suppliers there's a problem, or you have to do different routes based upon different conditions, and then that network is such a big deal. So thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Sam, any closing thoughts on this one? I think it's a good announcement, and hopefully it benefits everybody involved.
Yeah, I think let's go to the next story. I don't have anything else to add there unless anybody else has. No?
Okay, so Oracle deploys OpenAI Chat GPT-5 across the database and the SaaS suites. So they're embedding it across the database portfolio and the SaaS applications. This means like Fusion Cloud, NetSuite, industrial apps. I think that's a pretty interesting thing, especially if it's going all the way through to like NetSuite and things like that. So NetSuite has their not to deviate, but they're having their Suite World next week. I'm assuming there's going to be some pretty significant announcements there. This helps them Oracle gain more aggressively against their competition, specifically in the AI driven world of enterprises, the enterprise ERP race, especially. I don't know if this is how much, what I kind of going back when I just said, I'm not sure that some of the competition has some similar things. And Sam, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Does this give them a big leap forward, or just a small leap forward, or status quo?
Yeah, so I guess overall from the deployment perspective, everybody will get caught up on ChatGPT 5, even though I don't know if I like it, to be completely honest, because it was one of the slowest model, and I'm pretty sure Thomas is probably going to have a lot more comments there on that. But they have sort of come back. I don't know if they rolled back. Initially, when it started, it was really bad. So I don't know if this is the right time to roll this out. But overall, I did not like ChatGPT 5. But for the most part, I think every single vendor out there is probably going to upgrade to ChatGPT 5 because, that's probably the newest model that we have right now. And then what I liked about this story is they are doing this for the SQL as well as databases as well. So does that mean that we are not going to have SQLs anymore? Is that going to be your ChatGPT interface, even for interacting with databases, which would be very exciting? So you don't need to learn any more languages. The only language that you need is ChatGPT with everything, right?
Well, I think I think you have to skin it a little bit deeper. What are you using it for, and how effective is it, and what's your data look like, and things of that nature. So I don't think it's as simple as just an added feature. But Ken, what do you think?
Well, so I actually found this to be quite interesting. So number one, I think for Oracle, it's a pretty smart bet to say, hey, we're going to align with OpenAI, and this is our go forward motion. I think that when it really caused my eyes to get wide when, to Sam's point around, applying this directly to the database tier. I mean, because this is where, if you look at corporate installations across the planet, this is definitely one of their strong suits in terms of being able to be the ubiquitous data storage utility and being able to think about, well, gee, what if my ability to build an executive dashboard is just as easy as going into however they're going to brand the, whether they actually call it ChatGPT or they call it something else as they, move forward with their integration, but being able to say, hey, this is what I want. And then being able to go directly into the plumbing to avoid having to figure out how to get a tech team engaged to build out the portal for their executive or some other different way of being able to work with their instances and manage and administer. I think there's a number of potential benefits here that from a customer perspective are really worth paying attention to, and not having to actually build any of it themselves, but really rely on that already configured front end to be able to take advantage of it. This could actually be pretty huge.
I think it's the customer gain, like you said. I think is the big benefit here. I think all the vendors will catch up to each other from having features like this, but I think it's a good feature. At the same time, gives the customer the benefits, like you said, more capabilities, ability for productivity, for the code generation, debugging. It's across all their whole platform. So that's the one thing I do like about Oracle is that their platform includes all these different applications including Thomas's CRM. But I think that,
I think my CRM. I'd love them to buy my CRM.
But I do think that's one of the huge benefits here is for the customers, like you said, Thomas, because it gives them all these different benefits and long-term gains from this.
A lot of it depends. So I was less surprised than Ken, because I mean, everybody and their dogs are somehow connecting to OpenAI plus many other LLM vendors in order to offer their clients choice or at least guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the real value needs to be seen actually yet, because it, to quite an extent, depends on how the existing Oracle models get orchestrated to cooperate with whatever ChatGPT will get used for. So one example could be that ChatGPT makes the user interface and delegates tasks to the Oracle models that are, in all likelihood, I actually would be surprised if not, far better suited to dig into Oracle's data and Oracle databases data, maintaining guardrails, which ChatGPT is not that strong at. So they're the real value. The scenarios still need to get worked out. And there needs to be more beef to that bone than a bare bones announcement.
Okay.
So Sweet World is probably the event to look at for that.
All right, Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I think we have a comment here, so let's touch on that first.
Yep.
So Andy, thanks for joining, Andy. So Andy's saying this coincides with the Oracle AI Studio. The AI Studio is probably the go-to strategy pretty much for every single vendor out there. And debut version 23 AI opening AI up for not only Fusion, but for NetSuite and eBusiness Suite as well. Basically, 23 AI drives this. Any comments there, guys, on this?
Yes. That's the comment. Yes. So
Please tell us, Thomas.
This just adds on to the strategy. Just in quotes. It's the consequent step forward on the same strategy.
Yeah, so great point, I guess. And thank you so much once again, Andy, for the comment. Robert, I don't know if you're ready to move to the next one.
Yeah, let's move to the next one.
Okay.
So Salesforce has been pretty active this year, right? So they're acquiring Regrello. I think I said it right, but they develop AI systems for automating business processes. So this deal is supposed to close, I believe, this month. It's a cash deal. So the technology most likely will be built into Agentforce and Slack, allowing AI agents to complete a routine task across CRM. So Thomas, is a big topic for you. This should help customers avoid switching between different tools. So I think it's a significant plus. This involves integrating directly into CRM and collaboration. So it should eliminate additional systems and integration. But Thomas, you have a lot of experience with this. Is this a win, or what's your thoughts?
Of course, this is a win for Salesforce. Also, looking at what Salesforce research has found out with their CRM Arena Plus research, basically, which in general, on a very high level, says agent-based automation works as long as it's simple enough. So, which basically, this acquisition, in my eyes, basically is the mitigation of exactly that weakness, to start getting into more complicated and more complex workflows and being able to orchestrate those. Formulating it negatively, it's basically the statements, hey, we can't do it without help. But then, hey, that's why make or buy decisions exist, right?
What do you think, Ken?
Well, I think in a very real sense, this is a bit similar to what we were talking about with Oracle and OpenAI. I think that the agentic nature of being able to look at having special purpose models and agents that are doing certain things that are part of being able to deliver the result for whoever's on the other side of the keyboard is an important thing. And it's going to play out, I think, in a similar manner. And really, when you get right down to it, the devil's in the details. It's going to be how they choose to actually build this into the infrastructure and turn it into something that now actually provides utility to the end user.
Does this lock the customers more in? The platform lock-in, do you guys think it does that more? I would think so.
Well, that's what they all want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's with good and bad arguments, vendors want to become indispensable for their clients.
Yeah.
So they want to make it hard to switch somewhere else. That's why they need to make it easy for their clients to use their stuff to their benefit. From a client perspective. So,
I mean, going back to Ken, I mean, do you think what are the benefits do you think this is for the customers? I mean, you would think it gives them more value, more efficiency, better workflow automation. What's your thoughts?
I think that better workflow automation is probably the key thing that people will be looking for, so that from the user's perspective, it's easier for them to be able to make a request and then actually see it get what's the word I'm looking for? Like made real, as opposed to having to wonder if this is a multi-step process, how much they need to stay engaged in order to actually move it along through the different stages of fulfillment.
Yeah, and that's where exactly that points into. So it's focused on workflows and making more complicated workflows reliable using agents or orchestrating agents, which is a tough thing to do.
Right. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And I don't know. I mean, we have seen a lot of different use cases turning data into, complex business processes, I guess. Maybe the AI world is going to be different, but the way I see this is it's very data mining sort of capability. And I don't know if Salesforce is getting into that sort of play. Overall, they are very well aligned. They want to do a lot more data. They want to figure out, how they can control the data world. So overall, this acquisition is aligned with that. But, whether this is going to be effective is probably going to be my question. Sure, you have a lot more data from the Slack perspective. They are doing a lot more from the Agentforce perspective. But how this is going to play out would be my question. I don't know how effective this is going to be.
It will take some time.
Yeah.
It will take some time. And some other capabilities that are still under development, I'd say.
Well, it's closing this month, so we'll see what next year brings. So it's kind of been an interesting year. Maybe we'll close on some topics regarding that. Can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
This one's I think I like it. It's, Epicor debuts ERP AI agent, with outcome-based pricing. So outcome-based pricing, Sam, maybe you can reiterate a little bit on top of what I'm about to say, but it's a business model or price of a product or service is directly, I'm reading something tied to a specific measurable and agreed to business result rather than usage. And I think it's a tough thing to actually have in your ERP package, but it's nice to have if you can have it, because it's a great type of differentiation and feature. So from my perspective, this is nothing to do with marketing. It's a feature, it's a capability, it's a differentiation, and it should help customers because it's but you do need data and you need the measurements to be able to do it. So that could be a potential issue. But what do you guys all think?
Yeah, so go ahead, Thomas.
I'm all in favor of outcome-based pricing, which is, well, if you're not a CFO or a paranoid CFO, a very good thing for any customer company. From the CFO still need to see the business case on them, because you need to know your current cost in order to gather the variable savings, because it's a variable pricing model. Right. And the one and only fear of a CFO is the variability makes it more expensive than it was before. So the crux of the matter is tying it into a business case that convinces the finance suite. Else, this is a very, very good way forward.
Sam, what do you think? What industries use it the most? Would you say all, or like healthcare, or consulting, or I'm not sure if financial or manufacturing is as prevalent, but I'm sure it is. But where do you see the most use of this?
Yeah. So number one, I guess, Robert, I'm going to take a different take here, and I know that you don't like when friends sort of disagree openly. In this case, I'm probably going to take a different take. So I see this as more of the marketing alignment. I don't see this as more of the feature. You are doing this because everybody's talking about outcome-based pricing, and it's kind of cool to talk about that. But I don't know how much value that is going to be for the customer. Outcome is very debatable. In general, even customers don't agree themselves in terms of what outcome they want. If they had that figured out, then we would not have as many problems, I guess, in the industry. And to your comment related to different industries, it says supplier decisions, and they seem to be doing very similar things as what SourceDay was doing. I know that they have aligned with SourceDay, but then they also have competing capability with SourceDay more in the agentic fashion. I don't know if SourceDay is going to develop these agentic capabilities as well, but seems like what they are developing is very similar to SourceDay for the agentic world. So this is, from the industry perspective, this is very supply chain heavy, because SourceDay, I don't think they ever worked with not-for-profit or government, or even if they are going to have supply chain, they were very well focused into the core manufacturer, a little bit of distributors, beauty-centric verticals. That's where they were focused on. So my take on this is going to be, it's probably going to be for that industry, but it has a lot of layers. Outcome-based pricing, again, that's a marketing ploy in my mind. I don't know how beneficial that is going to be.
Why do you think it's marketing when it's a feature that could be that's used pretty significantly in certain industries?
Because it's very debatable. I mean, how do you define outcome? Nobody knows what outcome.
Sure, you can. It could be success. It could be based upon certain contracts. Or the health of a patient in healthcare, or how long they're there. I mean, it could be financial industry, based upon success as well. I don't know, Thomas, what do you think?
Robert, the reality of this world is, if you speak to 5 different executives, they all have different definition of success based on how much money they make.
Well, that will be defined in the system. That's part of your.
That's the challenge with this type of pricing model, or one of 3 challenges. Another one is, all of a sudden, the vendor has skin in the game. So the most important part of a contract becomes the KPI that gets measured as to be improved as the outcome. And this is something that till now most vendors and SIs ran away from as fast and hard as they could, because it, as said, puts their skin into the game. And that's why I like this model, whether it's called a marketing ploy or something worse. It may very well be. But the important part is that announcements like these announce or suggest at least a shift in thinking that aligns the delivery, the value of the delivery, the value for the customer with the value received by the vendor when selling it.
Yeah. So he agreed with me, Sam. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are agreeing. I just take a very different question. I don't like it at all, to be completely honest.
I call him.
Can't always slap you, Robert.
We talked about
my position is not changing anytime soon. I'll tell you that. I'll be very consistent.
Yeah, I don't know. You sound like an LLM. Anyway,
Well, I'm going to line up
LLM,
with
that is
Sam a
going to be
little bit.
consistent and predictable, Robert.
Oh,
true.
Which is not true with most LLMs.
Yeah, that's true. Ken, what do you think about all
I'm
this?
going to line up with Sam a little bit here because number one, I think that the way that the release is structured and the way that it's being approached, there's a fair amount of, I won't say slop, but a lack of precision in being able to say this is what we're going to give you. And going back to Sam's point about the whole notion of an offer and what it is that you're going to be able to get value from, just looking to say outcomes is, it's very imprecise. And I think that from their perspective, it's probably a good thing to be able to have an overarching offer that you can come in with and say, hey, let me help you, and we'll do it on outcomes-based pricing. So it effectively kind of removes the large barrier in terms of either cost or the actual requirement to have to go into every nook and cranny. Because, I mean, look at what the release is saying about being able to, we're going to help you spot gaps in your data model. This, I think, presupposes that they're walking in with a view of the domain, that they're now going to be able to take a look at it and say, because of the emails we've seen, because of the existing infrastructure you've already got, we're now going to be able to do some gap analysis. And that is going to end up driving new work. It's going to drive new purchases at the lower level in order to be able to actually make it work and realize the benefits that they're talking about.
Okay.
It's all at the very beginning, even from a thought processing point of view. Look at the scenarios that we highlighted here. So, well, how to measure a business process improvement there? Yeah. So is it done via price comparison per time or per time frame?
I mean, this is a personal situation for how the company operates, I think. So I kind of go back to Sam. It might be a little bit of marketing to kind of say we have it, but this is a personality of a business uses it or they don't use it. So it can, I'm not sure how much it helps them or not, but I think it's a plus.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
So, Robert, we have a comment here from Andy. So Andy saying, I tried outcome-based pricing and it comes with the obvious issue. If you achieve X, then you pay me Y, which does not work even in professions which are going to be most contingent, even sales. And if you talk to any seasoned sales leader, they would never do completely variable compensation model because everybody knows that doesn't work. So, however, to find the number X, you need before and after numbers to prove out that you made it. Too many outcomes are soft, which is right, meaning hard to quantify. Yeah.
That's why I said one of the major preconditions for something like that is having a business case.
Exactly. And I don't think whatever you are seeing, like outcome-based pricing, you will see that in a contract because they don't want any sort of legal trouble. Nobody does. This is all will be found in the marketing material, because they want to make it attractive. Okay, so one more. Some outcomes are easy, reduce DSO by X days, but majority aren't. But again, I mean, look, there are a lot of different variables that drive these things. So it's never going to be just the product. There are going to be, human-centric variables, behavior. So how do you sort of control that? So legally, you are never liable because, again, you are getting into something that you cannot control. Okay, so we'll probably go to the next story.
Before we go on, the last comment I'll make here is that even though those are two great points, I think it gives them the opportunity to be able to start engaging the customer and start conditioning different offers so they can start to see what can we build that would actually fit that pricing model that people would salute, and that gives us an entry point into acquiring new accounts or taking and making our existing account base think that we're more valuable and want to retain us.
Just to be clear on my position, guys, if I were a sales guy and I'm selling a product, I would probably have outcome-based pricing there because that sells. So, I don't blame them in doing that. Okay, so next one, I guess, Robert?
Yep, so QAD and Esker strategic partnership. So If we're not sure, if we don't know who QAD is, they're a ERP manufacturing, pretty significant software vendor. Esker is a document processing AP automation. They're partnering for more integrated payable automation. QAD gets a pretty big gain from this, I would think, with the combined solution, leveraging things for what their customers need. It's a long-term gain, but it's also, I kind of want to get your feedback on this. Should help from their customer perspective of their, what the ones that are doing manual invoices, better integration with procurement. Do we think this is marketing or product enhancement? I think it's mostly a product enhancement. That it's more integration, more automation. Guys, what do you all think? Ken, why don't you start?
I was waiting for Thomas to start speaking because I saw it's like, yeah, I'm almost there. And it's
okay, let me throw a soundbite. I think this is a marketing ploy. It basically connects some things that sort of are connected anyways. I would be vastly surprised if the customer bases affected here are very different. Means I'm quite sure that there's quite an overlap in there. And heck yes, so these are two parts of the same business process that somehow need to get connected. So nothing too big here.
Okay. Sam, what do you think? Hype or product or both?
Yeah. So in my mind, I guess, before I touch on this one, I guess let's touch on the previous one. So just to be clear, again, on my positioning, outcome-based pricing is where I had problem. I did not have problem with what they were doing with the account payable workflows or the supplier collaboration things that they were doing. That's a real feature, and this is very aligned with that story. So here, these guys are talking about AP automation. AP automation is a real product. It's a real category. Now, a lot of ERP vendors are sort of bringing it in, merging with that. So I don't know what is going to be the future direction. With AI, it becomes far more powerful in general. So this is a real capability. And again, QAD and Epicor, they are doing similar things. AP is slightly different than the whole supplier collaboration, what Epicor is trying to do. So we'll find out. But I mean, overall, I like this story a lot.
Well, it's not a bad story, but it's not groundbreaking. That's what I'd say.
Well, I mean, I think that the order management and the invoicing and, that AP AR automation is a big deal. So to have more features there, I mean, it can't hurt. Was QAD, from your perspective, Sam, were they lacking in this area?
Yeah, QAD is filling a lot of holes. So, if you go to NetSuite had all of these capabilities. Acumatica to some degree as well, a lot of these cloud vendors. QAD was sort of behind. If you look at the kind of capabilities that you are going to find when you are going to deal with NetSuite customers, I'll give you a very simple example. For example, let's say if you deal with ZoomInfo. What ZoomInfo is going to do is, and this is CX, by the way, Thomas, this is not a plain invoice. I know you like to talk about CX. So when you talk about CX, even from the payment perspective, with NetSuite, what is going to happen, and the reason why NetSuite is so powerful, is because what they are going to do is when you are going to send the invoice, you are going to get an email. In email, you are going to get a link, and that you can directly pay. You don't have to deal with all of these ACH sort of workflows. So that makes the CX experience very easy. It makes collecting cash very easy as well. It's not just about closing the deals, it's also about collecting cash if you speak to any CFOs. So that's what they are getting from this. And again, they are sort of catching up with these cloud vendors. QAD, obviously they are invested by Thom and Bravo, and they want to make sure that they are going to be closer to these cloud vendors. So again, in my mind, I think they need this if you want to compete with these guys. So this is a huge story. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the race for those top, say, 10 ERP companies, I think, is a significant race. I think this year has been a really kind of a strange year with how technology and different acquisitions, et cetera. But I think ERP is going to change dramatically next year. You're going to start seeing it more beyond the acquisitions. But going back to that event-driven software, Sam, I think companies are going to put things in place to be there for the future, and these top 10 ERP vendors will be more pronounced and more discussions. I don't think ERP is necessarily at the forefront of discussions, but they're at the forefront of every company's agenda, to make it better, to have, it used more within the companies, to have more efficiency, to have AI more, at a daily use. I think there's a significant amount of companies that are still on-prem with their data and their systems. They have to find a way to modernize. And I think next year is going to be just a gigantic year for ERP. But that's just another subject, but plays into this because these companies are adding incremental features. And I think they're kind of baby steps to the big picture that we're getting to that I just mentioned. Any thoughts on that, Sam?
Could not agree more. I think for every single enterprise software category, it's going to be a very different world in next 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So we have one more comment here. If you guys don't, so Andy saying 100%, it opens the door when it was closed before. The proverbial, if you win, we win. Great as a sales pitch, Andy. But again, if I'm a sales guy, I would use day in, day out. But I'm not too sure from the buyer's perspective. Okay.
The only thing I would add about this is that I would not be surprised. Anytime I see strategic alliance, it kind of has my eyebrows go up because I would say that if they are successful, and depending upon how that actually plays out from the individual company perspective, I would look at this as a potential opportunity for sometime in 26 to turn into a merger.
Yeah. I mean, these companies have to have strong ecosystems. This is just another example of that. But I think the big play is what Sam said. The next 2-3 years is going to be a big change for this industry, the ERP industry. But I don't know, Sam, do you want to do another one, or do we want to kind of go do a kind of a longer close?
It's up to you. I think we can do one more, maybe shorter one, and then we can do shorter close.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do one more.
So ActivTrak expands workforce management capabilities. They're a company that provides workforce analytics, monitoring, productivity. So they're expanding into the workforce management. It should be a pretty good gain for its customers who want more management versus analytics. I guess we'll start. Is this marketing, Thomas, or is this an enhancement? Or you don't know?
Well, it's probably both. But if they say they expanded something, then this is probably what they did, and they are talking about it, which is initially not a bad thing to do. How impactful this is, I don't know. I really won't know.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the WFM category here. That's sort of the sub branch of the HCM category, which is the obviously human capital management. So WFM was always slightly siloed because it matters only to certain industries. So I don't know how big ActivTrak vendor is overall, but a lot of vendors have WFM. Some of them don't because they don't target those industries because it's going to be a different architecture. In this case, the scheduling sort of resides inside your WFM category. This matters more for retail-centric industries, maybe hospital, a lot of franchise-centric businesses. So again, we don't know where WFM category is going to go. Is that going to be a branch inside ACM suite, or would that be always siloed? That would be my take, Robert.
Okay. Anything on your end, Ken? What do you think?
I don't track this space, so I really don't have anything to say about it.
Just one point, Ken, I guess, for the item category, this sort of overlaps with that because if you look at likes of ServiceNow, they are doing a lot more work in the WFM as well as ACM space. So there might be some overlap. I don't know how big, but there is overlap with you.
All right. Well, closing comments on this one, but we'll close the door on the day. Thomas, anything you want to? You're good.
I don't really know what the big thing with this announcement is. So, to me, it sounds like just another version of time cheating.
Okay.
Well, there might be more behind it.
Let's close then, and why don't we close with what this year has been any negative things that have happened to you that AI has let you down? We'll start with Thomas. Like, did you use AI for something and it spit out and it caused you a problem? Think about
No, not yet really, because I do trust but verify.
Nothing happened, like it gave you a recipe and you messed it up, or it gave you directions and you went the wrong way, or
Well, but as said, trust but verify, so
you did a
nothing really
sports
happened.
bet and it gave you the wrong one, and I don't know.
So far, I didn't glue the salami pieces on the pizza because ChatGPT suggested that.
An example where data might not have, your data wasn't in order, so AI failed for you. Okay.
Well, basically, it fails by making it necessary for me to verify.
Okay,
That's the failure behind it.
Okay.
But else, in general, overall, I still see it as a plus.
Good. Ken, what do you think?
I'm in Thomas's camp. I I use AI a lot, and the thing that I find that I do is I don't start off with a high level question and expect that it's going to drill down all the way to the lowest layers that I'm interested in talking about, but rather it's the interaction model. It's the ability to actually manage context that ends up becoming really important, so that I can go and choose what any of the tools actually give me back to see whether it's appropriate for what I'm trying to do, the kinds of insights I'm looking to cultivate using those tools. So, I'm with Thomas.
Those are good points, because I think it's as smart as you are, right? So if you don't give it good questions, then you're going to get the answers that are expected from those questions. But if you keep on drilling down, like Thomas said, and we both said, kind of going trust and verify, and then maybe taking that information and going to a different LM, I think that you can kind of whittle through to get to the right answer in a shorter period of time than we did 5 years ago by going to Google search.
And that's actually a really good point, because in a very real sense, I use multiple models and multiple machines to be able to do this. And I view it a bit like Analysts Gone Wild, where you've got multiple perspectives and you want to be able to address the question or look at what your need is across a variety of different inputs, because the training database is not the same. I mean, in large part, it probably is, but there's going to be specific differences in the way that the model interprets the training data, and you're going to get different stuff out of it, including the ability to actually do live search on the web and include that as part of what the return data set looks like. So I think that being able to use it in a way which is like, oh, I've got a board of advisors and I'm getting valuable inputs back. How do I synthesize those in a way which now actually makes sense for the things that I'm trying to do? That, I think, is really the smart play.
Yeah. And it gives different directions for own thinking. Yeah. Is this, I got this surprising response here. Is that a valid response? Is that a good one? Right. Or is it the right one? And have I been totally off? or what? So this is the real value behind it, which also makes it important to verify.
Yep, I agree. Sam, why don't you close this out? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, if you talk about negativity and AI, the only things comes to mind right now is StreamYard. Even if I get kicked out from this forum, even if they close my account and ban me, my problem with AI or any sort of automation is going to be pricing, and that's why I hate anything which says outcome-based pricing or whatever. Because one thing that I don't like about pricing related is surprises. If you are going to be giving me 10x surprise in terms of pricing, please tell me why I should be paying 10x more. And I don't think you can convince me. Nobody can. So I mean, that's where my problem is with anything that has any sort of crazy automation. And I call this as craziness based pricing.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with outcome. what they told you, they are basically in the oldest way of on-premise pricing. So you're on my hook. You use this a lot. So
they might claim that I'm making you look prettier or I'm making a lot of money, which I'm not. I guarantee this. Okay. All right, guys. So this was Analyst Gone Wild. We meet every Thursday, 11 a.m. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.